Then there's Job. Anybody heard of Job, like the suffering of Job? And it's kind of it's worked into our secular vernacular. Suffering of Job, and he did suffer. The book of Job in our Bible is an epic poem of this man's suffering and interaction with God and friends. And beginning of the story, Job loses everything. Well, not quite everything. He loses his children. They're killed in a natural disaster. He loses his health. He's covered in boils. He loses his livelihood. He loses so much. And he questions, God, what are you doing to me? Did I do something wrong? And he's like, I didn't do anything wrong. I don't get this. And he's got friends. But they're the wrong kind of friends that we talked about earlier. His friends gather around him, and they sit in silence for a little while. Then they ask him, Job, come on, just get honest. You did something nasty, didn't you? You did something secret. You did something that God has ticked off at you about. That's why all these bad things have happened to you. Just confess them. Come on, get them out. And Job's like, no, you don't get it. I've been a righteous man. None of this makes sense. These friends aren't really doing the job that they need to do. But they're doing better than Job's wife did. Job's wife said these words to her husband, "Why don't you curse God and die?" Thank you, honey. Really appreciate feeling the love. Wow. Don't you want to know what happened after that? Job's miserable. King David seemed to struggle with depression a lot. When you read the Psalms, and the Psalms, if you have a physical Bible, you open it up and to the very middle and you hit the book of Psalms. It's right there at the heart of the Bible. And Psalms are written out songs. We don't have the tunes, but we have the lyrics. It's the ancient songbook of our spiritual ancestors, right? David wrote a lot of those, and about a third of them are songs of complaint and songs of lament. These real raw prayers where David's just saying, what's going on? He's hurting. Like, this is Psalm 13. David wrote this one, talking to God. How long, O Lord, will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me? How long must I bear pain in my soul and have sorrow in my heart all day long? How long shall my enemy be exalted over me? Consider and answer me, O Lord my God. Give light to my eyes, or I will sleep the sleep of death. Can you feel the despair in there? This is palpable to me. Then there's Elijah, the prophet Elijah. And Elijah is in trouble in this particular time in his life because he had pointed out that these false prophets had invaded the country of Israel. And so it was his job to round them up and get rid of them. And so he did, but they were like pet prophets of Queen Jezebel. And Queen Jezebel was, what's the nice way of putting this? Ticked off. And so she sent an army to just kill Elijah. And so Elijah is on the run. He's out in the wilderness again. He's on the run, and he's on the run for quite a while to a point where he's utterly exhausted. He collapses under a tree, and here's the prayer that he prays. Check this out. I've had enough, Lord. Take my life, for I'm no better than my ancestors who have already died. What's he saying there? I give up. Just kill me. Can't do it anymore. There were women in the Bible too. Hagar wept when Abraham, in essence, divorced her and sent her and her little boy out into the wilderness. Just get out of here. Naomi, I love the story of Naomi. After the death of her husband and her two sons, she changes her name, or says she wants to. I'm changing my name from Naomi to Mara. Mara is a Hebrew word. It means bitterness. Just call me bitterness. My life is that bad. Wow. There's Rebecca, who wept because for years she couldn't have children. There's the prostitute who wept at Jesus' feet because she felt so dirty, so sinful. And all these people, it's just a small sampling of the people in the Bible that carry deep, deep pain. There wasn't a word for depression in the Bible, but you can see it here in these stories. These people were sad and in despair. But you find that every one of these people refuses to give up hope. That every one of these people still clings to God and trusts that God is going to make something good come out of something bad. Like right after David says, "How long, O Lord, will you forget me forever? Have you forgotten me completely? Show me something, or I'm going to die." Right after David writes those words, here's what he writes: "But I trust in your unfailing love. I will rejoice because you've rescued me. I will sing to the Lord." I mean, he's not saying, "I'm going to rejoice now. I'm not going to sing now." He's saying, there'll come a point. I trust that there will come a point when I will sing and give thanks and praise you. Right? The dark times were never the end of the story for them. Moses, after he's out there saying, "Kill me," well, 40 years later, he's still leading the Israelites finally to the promised land. He got them there. And we tell his story over and over again because he trusted God and he didn't give up. He didn't give up. Naomi's daughter-in-law, remember, Naomi said, "Don't call me Naomi anymore. Call me Mara. Call me bitterness." Well, her daughter-in-law remarried and produced a grandchild for her. And then there was a great-grandchild. And then there was a great-great-grandchild. And that great-great-grandchild was David, King David. And she saw the joy of being a grandparent. This woman who said, "Call me bitterness." She trusted God. David ruled over Israel. Became Israel's greatest king. The prostitute at Jesus' feet, she got up and walked away a new person because Jesus gave her forgiveness and hope and new life. And then, of course, we've got to talk about Jesus. Remember, he's hanging on the cross. And he says from the cross, my God, why have you forsaken me?" And that's a place of despair, isn't it? But then, after his death, 3 days later, he comes back and he says, "Because I live, you shall live also." Easter is God's way of saying the worst thing is never the last thing. Easter is God's way of saying there is always hope. We choose hope. I think our hope is our best weapon against depression. Our hope. We choose to believe that our lives have meaning and purpose. We choose to believe that we are loved by God no matter what. We trust that even in our worst times, suffering, difficulty, that God will bring something good out of those times. We choose to hold on to our faith with just white knuckle tightness because we trust, even when we have no evidence of it. The writer of Hebrews reiterates that. The writer says, "Faith shows the reality of what we hope for. It is the evidence of things we cannot see." And hope is saying, I can't see it yet. I can't see it yet. Key word, yet. I can't see it yet, but something is coming. God is at work.